Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to Wargame. Today another 3v3. People are definitely warming up for the tournament that's coming up. In case you don't know about the tournament yet, link down below in the description. It's a tournament where you have no income. You're playing a Conquest match on a map of Blue Force choosing. And you have to make do with the units that you have. No income whatsoever. Now of course, because it is Conquest, that does put pressure on players to start actually moving instead of turtling and hoping for the best. You're going to have to go somewhere, and in this case, they're going to have to go somewhere on Highway to Seoul, which is an interesting pick, an interesting map to play on. The gameplay was sent in by Nevers14, and he already remarked how different the mode is from a normal income gameplay. Now, in this case, he is playing an Entente General deck, which of course for warm-up matches is perfectly fine. But keep in mind, during the actual tournament, you're going to be playing single nations, as coalitions are not allowed. He remarks, Nevers that is, he remarks in the description of the replay saying, "My team starts the match with only a few recon units and build our forces as a team to counter the enemy." So I'm expecting some really good team play here. Now as you can see, we have some really skilled players in ranked here. We got a Major General, Blitzwar, and we got a Lieutenant General, Gayhound. So we have a couple of very potent players here. And I am very interested to see how they're going to play and what sort of tricks I can pick up from them. Now, in case you're wondering, I will not actually be playing in the tournament myself. I will be doing commentaries on replays. Somebody asked me if I could do live gameplay, but the chance of stream sniping is just too high, even if I could. And having me in the game would already be a problem, because I would not be able to A, switch to neutral viewer, and B, I would have points, and that's not something that I would want to have. So it's going to be replays only. Now let's see what Nevers is going to do. He's going to open up with Mi-17, Gamma 2 and Gazelle. And we have a couple of transports, SPW-80s, a T-72, or actually two T-72 command tanks. That's an interesting choice. Let's see, where is he going to go? That's Baby Bear. There. Gayhound's going to go with LSTRs there. And he's going to go with LSTRs here. That's then what's in those transports, I imagine. The SPW-80s. Over here on the left, Baby Bear, or Bear Baby Bear, is going to go with Sokol, Mi-17, Jet Ranger, and a Command Infantry unit. Of course, it's a sector you want to capture early, as it does help with spawn. The enemy seems to have 4 aircraft up already, and with that they got the first kill on an enemy, I think it was a bomber? Now there goes the... Wow, that was fast. A lot of air skirmishing on this one. That was a Deagle, wasn't it? Yeah, I believe that was the Deagle. So, that's a pretty important asset for Blue for out of the skies. Pretty quick. We got a marker here. Oh, right. That's just Never saying he's going to leave a CV here. They haven't defended the CV at all. But it's going to be pretty difficult for Blue to get there anyway. Or at least this early. So my estimation of the current situation is that they're just going to be capturing terrain first. And then maybe spend some defenses later here. As and when they are necessary. Now the Mi-17 Baby Bear seems to be going for this building. He's not the only one on the way there. There's a duo of Anafas coming in. Pretty high veterancy. They're about to be killed off by the Sokol, but not before they're narrowly able to drop off their shy Tet-13 teams, which the Sokol makes short work of. Unfortunately, not for very long, as a Gazelle cannon. I think this was also... No. A Gazelle cannon takes it out of the sky. The light infantry has been dropped off. Just in time, as the transport helicopter is now down. The light infantry is now trying to take over the building, or the tree line. Now let's see how the right flank's doing. No contact yet. We got one Senka sniper team over here. We have a picket line of Gazella and Mi-17 on the right flank, and the left flank is being held, of course, by whatever unit spawns in. Now Blue is pushing down the road. Blitzwar, the Major General, coming in with a couple of AMX-13s. There goes a Jet Ranger. That means that they're blinded again. Grotal, unfortunately for them, only carries 4 missiles. But it did the damage. And with the Cortal operating there, the MI-35 is going to have a hard time getting anywhere, and especially supporting any of these guys. And I think that the Chayatet, if they're not threatened at all by anything else, are going to wipe out those light infantry units very, very easily. All the more so because the light infantry cannot use that PKM. They're just stuck with their AKM. And the Chayatet can use their PKM and are very quickly chewing through the light infantry. So they're trying to jump to a different building, and they're immediately getting attacked by a Gazelle cannon. Over on the right, we now have a contact. A couple of CH-46 frogs have been spotted. But that seems to be the only thing that we have going on right now, until the LSTR encounter a group of US Marines. Which is not a fight that they're interested in. Even with the backup of the Specialny Jednotki, I don't think that they're going to be able to win that. Because the US Marines are a tough bunch. And maybe more importantly, they'll probably have a transport that's going to help them out. Whereas the LSTR and the Specialny do not have any such thing. Or at least, not something that's going to be capable of taking on an LVTP-7A1. This, however, is not that. This is an ATGM team. Possibly light infantry from Panzerwagen. Excellent bombing run comes in, wipes out almost all the Marines, just one survivor. And now it's just a matter of mopping up with the Specialny. Now there is a lot going on in this match. Even though they don't have a lot of units, there is a lot going on. And there's all of these smaller skirmishes. I'm trying to cover the map as best I can. But I will inevitably miss stuff. Now blue has a +1. But red, with their command T72 over here, should be able to immediately negate that. And the amount of points for red is 21, for blue is about 12. So it is very even at the moment. Now I think the Specialny just were successful in wiping out the US Marines, unless they were withdrawn. But then they encounter a team of Rangers, and that might be a bit much, especially since the Ranger team seems to have a close support from mortars. The mortars are working over the Grenzer over here. I think they must have been spotted, because this fire is very accurate. The Grenzer have been hit. They're down to 3 guys. Or 2 guys if you want to follow the amount of hit points that are left on the hit point bar. How is this? Oh, he pulled the T-72 back a little again. Maybe because this area is too predictable. Still, it is a T-72. This thing can take quite a beating. AMX 10RC scouting out the road. And this road can be a threat. It is such a low-lying road that you might find that vehicles just sneak by if you don't have anything actually standing on the road. It wouldn't be the first time that you get a very nasty surprise suddenly rolling into your spawn in Cheriton. Or in Anna, in similar fashion. So this road needs to be covered. And that, I think, was what the AMX 10RC was trying to do. Grotal wiped out the Gamma. We got a return shot from the T-72. Unfortunately, no hits. Red's no longer bleeding points, but blue has been able to gain a total of 31 points at the moment. And it seems like they've successfully bypassed the area over here. That looks very much like a VAB anti-air gun. And it's trying to work over the Mi-17. Now, they're not particularly heavily armored. And the S-13 from the Mi-17 can definitely do some damage. But with an ammo box hit, it's going to be down to the machine gun to take down the VAB. And the VAB is not sticking around for that. The Mi-17 seems to try to keep it spotted as long as possible, allowing the M84A to try and get the kill shot. And is it going to get it? Yes. Anti-air gun destroyed. Back to the left, where a group of Yekeri is having a really bad day, as they not only encounter a Ram Recce, but also a Merkava 3 Baz. That's going to be a difficult unit to get rid of. Especially since blue seemingly has air dominance. It's not like you're suddenly going to fly in an anti-air or anti-tank unit and hope that they take it out. Unless I missed it, blue still has their Rafale. Blue again is gaining points. That seems to be because the T-72 over here was moving. And moreover, Blitzwar is pushing. We got Legionnaires coming through the smokescreen. They got VAP 2013s for support. It's going to be a pretty tough fight for the Reserveschützen over here. They are getting some backup from their transports, or maybe it's the other way around. One Vab immediately dies. T-72 command tank aims again. Jeez, those things don't reload very quickly. Hold on a minute. Was that the Legionnaires? Or the Vabs? What took out that command tank? Because whatever it was, that was very lethal very quickly. It does mean that blue is once again gaining points. Reserveschützen against the Legionnaires. And against mortar attacks. T-72 is trying to run the Legionnaires down before they become a problem. The Legionnaires, okay, they narrowly got the opportunity to shoot. Unfortunately, the T-72S was here just in time. Now, with weakness over here, they're trying to make a push here with the M84AN and 2 M84As, and they kill off a command unit, leaving Elena open, meaning that blue is not going to get any more points. So far, they're evening each other out. Blue took down Dimitri, red took down Elena. And there is more conflict going on. It's again small skirmishes. It is light riflemen, so light infantry. And they are trying to land missiles against the M84A, but that missile is just not powerful enough. Whereas the tank has absolutely no problem dealing with the light riflemen. The problem lies in spotting those guys. What we can see is seemingly a vehicle, a Humvee. Hard to see if that was a reconnaissance unit or not, but at least it was spotting something. And just look at how few units they have here. M84A, not even the recon version. Specialny Jednotki, LSTR, LSTR again, transport, command tank. That is all. And I think that during the tournament you can expect more of these situations to happen. Where you might think that the enemy has a pretty strong position, but you find that they barely have anything. The same can be said here. Yekeri, Sissy Squad, T-72, Mi-24, and a... Well, this is a pretty potent group of tanks here. The M84A and the AN. Now, there is a dead marker here. And I think... Yep. That's the Merkava 3. So the Merkava 3 is no longer a threat. And since you only have 1,000 starting points in this match, or at least in this mode, if they played it by the same rules that I have set up for the tournament, and I think they are because they're probably practicing, that means that you have lost about 150 to 180 points by losing one heavy tank like that out of 1,000 points that you start with. And keep in mind that out of 1,000 points that you start with, you're also going to have to buy at least one command vehicle. So that's another 100 points. So losing a command tank or a heavy tank like that is a heavy blow. But similarly, Red 4 losing the command tank and Dimitri also was quite the blow, because those things also cost you 150. Now, I was right about the Rafale. It's still airborne. Well, that just changed. The Ito 90 took down the Rafale. That might open up the skies for Red 4, if they are interested in that at all. Now, what Red 4 seems to be very interested in is whatever starts spawning here. And this is again a situation that normally would be very risky and very, very temporary. Because this is the spawn path for blue. So anything that spawns in immediately gets killed off. But if you don't have a lot of points to begin with, then there is not a lot that's going to spawn in. So this XA-185KT is most likely only going to be encountering lighter stuff, or maybe even resupply units, if anything at all. And I think it's going to stay here for quite a while. T-72 trying to fight off the Legionnaires. Legionnaires fighting back with their Erics. And they only really need one more hit, but so does the T-72. And now the XA-185KT is on the move again. There goes another transport. More Legionnaires are coming out from Blitz War. We got a Bushmaster on, yeah, on autocannon fight. Whereas the Bushmaster has a lot more punch. What you got there? That's an interior unit. Is that a Crotal? I think it is. But unfortunately there was an autocannon hiding in the tree line, and that took out the 185. The T-72 has survived but will need repairs, and it seems like the SA-150 is on the way until it decided to get stuck in the mud. So it's going to be another 50 seconds before that tank's going to get repaired, unless the tank moves back to them. Over on the right, there seems to be not a whole lot going on, but note how carefully they're nursing their units that they have. as every unit, especially 95-point tanks, can be extremely valuable tools once you find that you cannot replace them. So they're immediately nursing this thing back to health, and they do have a fob where they can take additional supplies from if they need them. And as opposed to the previous, let's say, warm-up tournament match that I posted, these guys only went with one fob. Now Dimitri looks ripe for the taking, but looks can be deceiving in this terrain. There might be units hiding in any of these tree lines. Although, fair enough, if they were legionnaires, you'd probably have noticed by now. One whole group of Commandosi is pushing up, and it looks like they've been detected, because they're getting a lot of response from mortars. I'm seeing one mortar start here, I think 2 more from over there on the right. And Panzerwagen is bringing in 2 Sea Cobras. That could be very much a problem for the Commandosi. There is anti-air though, the Ito 90 from Bear Baby Bear. If this thing gets a shot at the Sea Cobras, I wouldn't be surprised that due to their proximity they're both going to get hit by the same thing, by the same missile. Interesting to note, by the way, the difference in use of artillery from Blue 4. They got 1 MLRS over there, and at least 3 mortars, I think, in total. So they invested quite a bit more in artillery than Red 4 did. Red 4 is just going for pure ground attack units, just straight up damage dealers. Commandosi are getting hit by cluster, which is going to shake them a little bit, but outside of that not do much. So it looks like Blue is just trying to make sure that any vehicles who are in here are very much going to get dissuaded from pushing in further. Now there's 15 minutes left, a little under 16. Blue's at 41, Red's at 21. And it seems, yep, the Senka team just got detected and killed off by the frogs. Although I very much doubt that it was the frogs who were doing the spotting. They simply don't have the capability. They only have poor optics, so they couldn't do it. It must have been something else. This is going to be a problem, by the way. If the Ito 90 gets taken out, then those 2 Sea Cobras could very easily take out the tank and pretty much everything else. And this is again what I find really interesting about this particular game mode. Normally 2 Sea Cobras would be, well, not quite a joke, but you wouldn't really consider them a massive threat. Whereas right now, if you only have this area covered by 1 anti-air unit and it's taking mortar fire, then you're going to have to really take care of this unit and make sure it survives. Because if you cannot replace it, then even 2 Sea Cobras can pose a big threat to your units. I think this was a group of Commando Marines. That's going to be a prime target for, well, pretty much the tanks over here, as they really don't have much else to counter it. And they need to try and get back into either Dimitri or Elena. But I'm not sure how many points these guys still have in reserve. If they don't have any points in reserve, then the only option that they have is push. Push, deal damage, wipe out any command vehicles that you encounter, and not so much gain points by capturing more terrain, but by denying the enemy the ability to capture terrain. Now we get an Avenger pulling back, killed off by the M84EN. That does open it up to attack from the Sea Cobras. And this is where the LSTR are going to come in very handy. They do only carry 4 Igla. And I think that with their low position and the hovering of the Sea Cobras, they're not quite getting a lock on yet. Sea Cobras are not hanging around to see if there is going to be an anti-air response. But I imagine they might be feeling pretty confident. Oh, and look at that. Very nice move there by, I think it was Panzerwagen. He was not waiting around to see if any other units came out. He draws the helos back and lets them hover down here, behind the tree line. Where they're still very close, they can pop up at any moment, and they can still pose a big threat. Now there is indeed a group of Commando Para over here. And they are on the move. I'm just not quite sure where they're going to go. It's going to be a tough nut for the LSTR to kill these guys off, but they might get some support from one SPW-80. And note how Gehan parks the SPW-80 in front of the D-72 command tank, because this thing is down to 1 hit point. I think it's been hit a bit, And Greyhound's asking for repairs on the T-72 command tank because they really need this thing alive. So the HT-40 is flying over to try and drop off supplies there. We're now going to get a skirmish between the Commando Para and the LSTR, while at the same time there's a push from Red 4 going in here on the left, and a push from Red 4 going on the right. So I have a lot to cover. M84ANs and T-72 pushing forward, and that's a bit too much to chew off for the LSTR, or sorry, for the Legionnaires. So they're now rushing forward, hoping to catch any units out here unawares, and immediately wiping those out. There is one surviving reconnaissance unit, and I hope that they can provide some spotting, because otherwise it's down to the M84AN, which is not a bad spotter, but it definitely will be a prime target for Blue 4 to take down. The attack by Red 4 on the right flank seems to be encountering their mortars. 2 M106A2s have been detected, and locked on kills off one. Throws, or attempts to throw an HEGM their way, but loses line of sight. There they are again. Note how Greyhound has taken the main gun out of the fight. He's just trying to hit them with a missile, and unfortunately loses line of sight. One of the Sea Cobras has been killed off, or split off. I think I might have missed that during that engagement. And that might very well be a grenade launcher over there. The LSTR and the Commando Para are still locked in conflict. The SPW-80 is not going to come out and help. So it's going to be down to the LSTR to just wipe the Commando Para off the map themselves. And they did. Blue at a +1. Sea Cobra, the damaged one we just saw leave the area over here, flies over to the left to try and defeat any of these tanks. And it actually has a pretty good chance to do it, provided that it has a reconnaissance unit to spot for it. And it seems like that is lacking. The Hapak have been detected. Commandosi are engaging, and so is the Mi-17. Now keep in mind that this is just a just a transport chopper with 122mm rockets. But I think I've seen it fly back to the FOB or come from the FOB, and it can still be very effective as an actual combat unit. Now it seems there are problems everywhere, because Blue 4 just lost this sector in Boris, meaning that they can no longer bring in units from here if they had the points for that in the first place. At the same time, the CV in Gregory got wiped out, and I missed that while I was covering this attack. So once again, nobody's gaining points, but Blue is at 71 points already. There's a Crotal rushing down the road, and is being stopped by, or attempting to get stopped by a Pion PSV T-55 tank. I think it's just trying to play with its food for a bit, because it's not really actually getting the kill. But more importantly, what is happening here? We got an an AA Manpads team coming up. That's a bit of a double. It's a Manpads team. M84AN and M84A pushing forward. Very powerful combination, these two. You can see him using them on the right flank and on the left flank as well. So it seems like he invested heavily in the M84As and the M84AN. Oh. Cheriton has been lost. But at the same time, Center's been lost. It's interesting to see how this Conquest match is going down, because normally in Conquest every capture or every sector is captured, and now it's the reverse. None of the sectors have been captured, and in fact, the CV that was trying to run away has been killed off by the T-72. There is a Humvee that's finally been detected. It's been throwing grenades around for a while. Should be a pretty easy kill for the Vidra, and note how quickly he puts his units back into the Vidra. Vidra has 1 side armor and 3 front, and has no problem just taking a few grenades, but the infantry does. So he's really nurturing his units and trying to make sure that they survive by actually moving units back into an APC or an IFV. And that too is something that you just don't see very often. Now we've got 3 minutes left on this replay. And I'm really curious to see what Blue 4 has left, if anything. I think that they still have the Sea Cobra somewhere hanging out in Anna. Oh, hold on. Maybe Blue is surrendering by moving their CV out of the sector. Maybe they're going to offer their CV to Red, as a sign that Red has won the battle. Nope, they captured it again. Sea Cobra, repaired, rearmed, and ready for a fight, is about to engage the Commandosi if it can spot them. But keep in mind that a Sea Cobra has poor optics. Whereas the Commandosi and the Sissy have very good optics, the Commandosi have medium. So they'll perfectly be capable of not getting detected before they detect it. Now, there is another problem coming up. How blue got here exactly, I'm not quite sure about. But they have been making moves, and they seem to be encountering... Hold on, they captured a logistics truck. Now, this is interesting. They captured a logistics truck, but it was captured by, I think as far as Blue knows, one of these buildings. Which pretty much tells you that Blue for now knows where the CV is. And it looks like there is another logistics truck. Or is it? No, it's just a transport. It's one VLRA. One VLRA cannot kill these guys. But a VLRA transports something. Whatever it is or was transporting can definitely kill a command infantry unit. The truck's gone. Blue 4 is smoking up here. Trying to, I think, deny the Sissy the line of sight into Anna. And making sure that they just extend this game as long as possible. Although, they might not have the units to stop whatever is coming for their main spawn. Yeah, that Sea Cobra is still there. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that they can send against it. You can see that these guys who are really, really good at Wargame, Lieutenant Generals, Major General, even these guys are probably going, okay, what are we going to do now? Now, they have found the CV. Now we just need a kill unit. There's a LAR 160 by Cuphead. Commandosi are moving into range, and so is the T-72. The CV is on the move. The Sissy are not allowed to fire at it. But here comes the reinforcements, the M84A and the M84AN. And no matter where that CV runs, it's going to get detected and killed. And it turns out the last shot comes from the Commandosi. So, Blue 4 lost 2,860 units. And they effectively scored a lot more command points, a lot more conquest points. But to no avail. As I think almost all the command vehicles in the map just got wiped out pretty much towards the end. I think Red 4-2 had only one command unit left. And these guys really gave me a good show. Some things that I particularly loved about this replay was how well the guys were nurturing their units. If a unit got damaged, immediately repair it. If you see something that you cannot fight or that you cannot win from, immediately retreat. Whereas normally you might go, you know what, I'm going to damage them as much as possible and I'll just send in another unit because I'm going to buy another one. That is not happening. Now, in case you're wanting to play in the tournament, you can still sign up till the end of June. And no matter whether you're a completely new player or you've played 100 matches or 1,000 matches or 10,000 matches, sign up if you think that this is fun. If you don't have a team yet, you can find a link or a channel on my Discord where you can link up with other players who are also looking for a team. So not being able to find a team should not be an objection. I hope you enjoyed the video. I am really enjoying this different way of playing Wargame, and I hope that the tournament's going to be fun for everybody. There's always something to learn, there's always something to show, and at least for me, it's going to be generating a lot of content. And hopefully for you, it's going to be generating a lot of enjoyment from either playing in the tournament yourself, from learning new tactics, playing Wargame in a completely different way, or by just watching the videos. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on this match down below in the comment section, and I'll see you guys soon for another video.